Welcome to AK Anime Explainer. Today is explanation of Soul Land 3, Legend of the Dragon King Part 93. Without any delay, start explanation. Shivers ran down Tang Wulin's spine as the freezing sensation entered his body. He willed his dantian to spin even faster, its speed quickly increasing by threefold. As he continued to circulate Feng Wuyu's warm energy through his body, the chilling liquid he consumed no longer seemed as harsh, and the explosion of cold slowed. Energy flooded Tang Wulin's meridians once more. Fortunately, they were tough enough to withstand it. After 49 circulation cycles, his meridians, bones, and viscera formed a protective outer layer that staunchly resisted the cold. The freezing onslaught lasted a mere few moments before fading away, absorbed by his spinning dantian. As it entered his dantian, the cold energy gradually merged with the swirling soul power inside. Tang Wulin broke through to rank 29 in an instant, and yet his soul power showed no signs of stopping its ascension. "Continue circulating," Feng Wuyu commanded, removing his hands from Tang Wulin's back. The warm energy faded from Tang Wulin's body, but he had already learned how to deal with the cold energy. He continued to use the mysterious heaven method to absorb it and rapidly increase his soul power. Feng Wuyu stood up and stared at Tang Wulin, his eyes narrowed slightly. This kid's body is extremely strange. Each time a soul master reached the next rank, soul power would saturate their body and increase their strength. This was especially true for major milestones like fusing with a new soul ring. Soul rings allowed a soul master to improve on a fundamental level, refining both body and mind. The exact amount of growth a soul master experienced depended on their martial soul. Tang Wulin's body, however, experienced improvements far beyond that which a two-ringed soul master would. In preparation for ingesting the spirit items he had, Feng Wuyu had spared some of his inner energy to warm Tang Wulin's meridians. Yet Tang Wulin's body exceeded his expectations. The boy's meridians were as tough as a six-ringed soul master's. In other words, Tang Wulin would have easily been able to digest the spirit item even without Feng Wuyu's help. However, just to be sure, Feng Wuyu had helped Tang Wulin complete 49 circulation cycles to warm up his meridians, and Tang Wulin's meridians had devoured all the warm energy without a fuss. This kid is a real freak. His blood essence is so potent and powerful that not even an adult power-type soul master could match him. No wonder he made it into Shrek with only 2 rings, and was able to become the class president. Sun with rays. Wu Zhongkong stood behind the lectern of the first grade's classroom. Today was his third and final lecture on the basics of mechas. Shrek Academy progressed through its curriculum at breakneck speed. All the students had to be diligent. They needed to do their homework and finish their readings every day to keep up. If they didn't, then they would eventually be expelled. "Let's begin class," Wu Zhongkong said. The students in the classroom didn't make a sound. According to tradition, once the teacher announced the start of the class president had to command everyone to stand and salute. Only then would the class officially begin. Yet at that moment, silence pervaded the room. The order to stand up was nowhere to be heard. A minute later, a girl said, "Stand up." That girl was Gu. As everyone stood and saluted, Wu Zhongkong's eyes darted to Tang Wulin's seat. Since Tang Wulin's seat was in the very first row, everyone could clearly tell that he wasn't present. "Sit down," Wu Zhongkong said. Once all of the students took their seats, he turned to Gu. "Where's Tang Wulin?" Gu shook her head. "I don't know. He didn't come back to the dormitory last night." Wu Zhongkong frowned. "He did not tell me that he would be absent or provide any excuse, so that's one strike against him." Here in Shrek Academy, it was abnormal for the class president to skip class. At that moment, a loud banging resounded from the door of the lecture theater. The door had already been open, and Wu Zhongkong turned to see a man in his late 20s standing there. "Hello, Teacher Wu," the man said. "Elder Feng sent me to tell you that Tang Wulin is currently at a crucial point in his cultivation and shouldn't be disturbed, so he won't be attending class. Please excuse his absence today." Wu Zhongkong was stunned. "Elder Feng? As in Feng Wuyu?" "Yes." The young man nodded. "All right. I understand. The young man left and Wu Zhongkong began his lecture. However, all of the students had one question on their mind: where was the class president? School had only started a few days ago, yet he was already missing class. However, everyone remembered that Tang Wulin only had 2 soul rings, so they wondered if he was in the middle of getting his third. Only students that were members of the Blacksmiths Association knew who Elder Feng was. Under Wu Zhongkong's icy gaze, however, none dared say anything during the lecture. The lecture continued, but it was clear that Ji Yu's mind was not present. She understood Tang Wulin best and knew it wasn't time for him to make a breakthrough. It was only 2 days ago that he said he was at rank 28, so even if he did make a breakthrough, he would only reach rank 29. Such a minor accomplishment wouldn't take up much time. In the same vein, it was impossible for Tang Wulin to make a breakthrough in his blacksmithing. He had just become a 5th-rank blacksmith and couldn't attempt spirit refining again until he got his 3rd ring. In light of all this, she wondered just what kind of breakthrough he could be making. Xie Xie and Xu Xiaoyan were similarly curious, but because they also knew how much of a madman Elder Feng was, anxiety filled their hearts. Sun with rays. In the 2nd grade's classroom, Long Xiu, the teacher in charge of the class, smiled from behind the lectern. Now let me introduce all of you to a new student who will be joining our class. Mu Shi walked over to him. This is Mu Shi, Long Xiu said. The Blacksmiths Association transferred her to our class. She's 17 years old and an outstanding blacksmith of the 4th rank. At the latest, she'll be able to attempt spirit refining in 1 year. Our class has had a shortage of blacksmiths, so I hope you'll treat her well. Yuan and Yehui sat in the 1st row, and Yu Jingyu sat in the last row. Just like all of the other students, their eyes were glued to their pretty new blacksmith classmate. Few students were blacksmiths to begin with, fewer were excellent blacksmiths, and barely any were female. Mu Shi could sense the overwhelming goodwill in the gazes of her classmates. Everyone in the 2nd grade was already preparing to make their battle armors. Once they reached the 3rd or 4th grades, they would officially begin making them. In pursuit of that goal, a skilled blacksmith classmate was indispensable. Introduce yourself, Mu Shi, Long Xiu said with a smile. Mu Shi nodded to Long Xiu. Hello everyone, I'm Mu Shi. I'm from East Sea City, which is part of the Sky Sea Alliance. My goal is to become a divine blacksmith. Please take care of me. Take a seat. Long Xiu pointed to an empty seat in the back. Yes. Mu Shi went to her seat. Since Yu Jingyu had only joined the class a few days before, it happened to be next to him. Yu Jingyu smiled at her. Hi, I'm Yu Jingyu. Hello. Mu Shi acknowledged him with a nod. Are there a lot of young 4th-rank blacksmiths in the Blacksmiths Association? Yu Jingyu asked. His sudden question surprised Mu Shi, but after a moment, she shook her head. There aren't that many. Yu Jingyu lowered his voice. So, do you have a boyfriend? Mu Shi rolled her eyes at him. How old are you? 15, he answered. Mu Shi snorted. You're just a kid, yet your head's already filled with such thoughts. Just pay attention to the lecture. After saying this, she ignored Yu Jingyu, crossed her arms, and glued her gaze to the blackboard. Yu Jingyu was speechless. This girl. Sun with rays. Tang Wulin truly hadn't finished his breakthrough yet. If it was just his soul power reaching rank 30, he would have long since finished. Although rank 30 was considered a bottleneck, charging straight through it was a simple matter for him. However, Tang Wulin's current breakthrough had nothing to do with reaching rank 30. When he absorbed the cold energy from the spirit item, he felt his body become lighter and his soul power surge through the bottleneck. He had succeeded at reaching rank 30. In an instant, his soul power seemed to boil over. The soul power in his dantian spun even faster than before. It felt as if his soul power had condensed into a liquid, forming a whirlpool that grew smaller and denser. Tang Wulin knew this was what happened when a soul master jumped from 2 rings to 3. He was now a soul elder. Meanwhile, gold light slithered out and stretched itself along Tang Wulin's shoulder. Then popping sounds echoed from its body as it grew longer by half a foot and became much thicker than before. Its golden scales grew larger, and its eyes shone brighter. Spirit souls grew with their masters, but Gold Light's growth far surpassed the norm. Feng Wuyu stood off to the side, watching all of this occur. Astonishment riddled his face. What kind of spirit soul is that? Why is it growing so much? Even if it's a 1,000-year spirit soul, is it really possible for it to grow to this extent? The sole way to cultivate a spirit soul involved the absorption of spirit energy from the Spirit Ascension platform. That said, it was possible for the spirit soul's owner to strengthen it by advancing their soul rank. This type of growth, however, rarely surpassed 10% if it grew at all. Yet before Feng Wuyu's eyes, Tang Wulin's spirit soul had increased by 50%, and that didn't seem to be the end. Gold Light's taut body relaxed one vertebra at a time, coiling around Tang Wulin like a protective vest. A flash, and golden veins sprang up over Tang Wulin's skin, his blood essence roaring with strength as they popped into existence. His figure let off a faint layer of gold light. Eyebrows arching toward the sky, Feng Wuyu muttered, "He really fits our school's motto. What a little monster." Before he knew it, he was shaking his head. "I've never seen anything like this before." Unknown to Feng Wuyu was Tang Wulin's current state of being, calm as a still lake. Unlike his new teacher, he understood what was happening to his body. The third soul ring was a major bottleneck for soul masters, but he had succeeded. Along with Gold Light's growth, it offered a third soul ring to Tang Wulin. Besides gaining another ring, Tang Wulin's body and meridians strengthened and his blood essence richened. However, he had yet to absorb to its entirety the reservoir of cold energy spiraling within him. There was still more to improve his soul power rank with, still more to be done. His body pulsed with energy in a sudden jolt. Following that, his third soul ring condensed into existence. He immediately fused with it, diving straight into breaking through rank 31, but even then there seemed to be enough energy left to tread deeper. At that moment, Tang Wulin heard a voice. "Take this opportunity to break a seal." Old Tang's voice resounded in his head. "See, can I really?" Tang Wulin asked in astonishment. "Normally, you wouldn't be able to since you just broke the second seal, but your blood essence has been improving rapidly these days. And that warm energy helped strengthen your meridians. But most important of all, what you ingested earlier was a 10,000-year spirit item of extremely high purity. It's more than enough to substitute for the spirit items I previously told you to get. Moreover, now that you have 3 rings, you're strong enough to break the third seal. Don't waste this opportunity. I'll help you convert that spirit item's energy into blood essence. Right now, increasing your soul power isn't as important as breaking the next seal. The earlier you break the seal, the stronger your blood will become, especially if you break the third seal right now. That'll give you plenty of time to prepare for the fourth seal." "Okay." There was no hesitation in Tang Wulin's answer. With that said, Tang Wulin's blood essence took on a full boil, vapors rising from his body in angry hisses, feasting upon the cold energy within his meridians. He continued to circulate his soul power whirlpool, carefully containing it within his dantian. To the spectating Feng Wuyu, this was an utterly baffling scene. The golden veins webbing all over Tang Wulin's body periodically pulsed with light as if they were alive. His blood essence surged out while a golden mist enveloped his body. A few moments later, his blood essence finished devouring the last bits of the cold energy, rushing into his dantian, merging with his soul power. Together, the two energies whirled in his dantian like a turbulent tornado. Of the 18 seals, he had 16 left to break, including this one. Soon, a familiar bone-scraping pain clawed its way to every inch of his body. Tang Wulin had just broken the second seal not too long ago, and now by coincidence, he was breaking the third. He was nowhere near as prepared as the previous time. This time, the pain was comparable to that of the first seal breaking, and before long his body felt as though it were on the verge of exploding. Feng Wuyu knitted his brows, eyes glued to the spectacle before him. The fluctuations of Tang Wulin's blood essence grew more and more pronounced, and it wasn't long before he began to tremble. "I can't figure out what's going on with him. Just what is happening to his body? This isn't as simple as just breaking through to rank 30. Although Feng Wuyu came to this conclusion immediately, he knew that he shouldn't interfere without knowing everything. He sat himself behind Tang Wulin, ready to intervene at a moment's notice if things went south. To his surprise, a golden soul ring emerged from Tang Wulin's body. It quivered and released a dragon's roar. The ring prowled around Tang Wulin like a golden dragon, haughty yet curious, and with each revolution his golden veins turned more distinct, bulging from his skin. Scales rippled into existence across Tang Wulin's right arm, shoulder, and chest, his hand morphing into a claw. His shirt was ripped to shreds by the transformation. His entire body shined with a radiant golden light. Now his body no longer trembled, and Tang Wulin reabsorbed his free-flowing blood essence into his body. Save for his golden aura, he reverted back to his normal state. Is this the power of blood essence condensing? Feng Wuyu stared at Tang Wulin in shock. Such an aura was unheard of. A blood essence ring? And a blood essence soul ring at that? This kid's body is too strange. He really benefited from what I made him ingest. A while after, Tang Wulin's skeleton began to crackle, bones vibrating with the immense energy flowing through his body. He trembled once more. The golden scales spread from the right half of his chest to the left, sneaking up his left shoulder. His blood essence was more powerful than previous, and the golden aura around him shrunk back to a golden soul ring, glowing brighter than before. A watchful hawk from the beginning, Feng Wuyu made out a few differences in Tang Wulin. He was taller for one, and his skin was the type maidens dreamed of, glossy and sparkling. His blood essence coursed through his body like a raging river, so loud that if he strained his ears, Feng Wuyu could hear it roaring. Tang Wulin's body was so full of vitality that his blood essence fluctuation saturated the room. Never had the golden scales upon his flesh glistened more brilliantly, seeming to reflect light with a regal magnificence. Interesting. How interesting. Feng Wuyu observed with narrowed eyes, his mouth parting into a slight smile. It looks like I've picked up quite a treasure. This kid's strength clearly comes from his bloodline and not his martial soul. His bloodline is influencing every part of him. At that moment, gold light slithered out of Tang Wulin's hair. Its scales deepened in its golden splendor, sharpening like blades. Two small protrusions appeared on its head. Gold light's length extended again, now about 2 feet long. It scrutinized the area with sparkling eyes. Is his spirit soul evolving again? It's still not done? Feng Wuyu finally understood his strange bloodline is causing it to evolve a second time. It's making his spirit soul's growth beyond normal. His future is limitless. When Tang Wulin peeled his eyes open, he felt about on the verge of collapse, exhaustion tempting every bit of his body. Pain sizzled through his nerves like electricity at the mere drawing of breath. He barely managed to endure the pain. It was even worse than that of the first seal breaking. Fortunately, his golden dragon body helped him bridge the crisis. When Tang Wulin completed the process, he was too far gone from fatigue to sense the effects of gaining his third soul ring and breaking the third seal. He went down like a bag of bricks without another word. This video will end here. Like video and subscribe to my channel.